Hey race fan, Brian Davis races, and you can too. Today we're going racing in Wisconsin, and I'm so excited to do that. So it is a gorgeous day, at least where we're at. We got about a 2-hour drive to get to the race, and then we are racing in Muskego Park. So it's like a circuit race, not so much critty. I'm trying to battle the sun here with my flat brim, which is challenging, and all my hair flowing. It's difficult. It's difficult sometimes. So Muskego Park, a circuit race. There's a big hill, and there was a Tour of America's Dairyland race here 2 years ago. I've raced this course numerous times as part of the Wisconsin series. So it's always been very, very challenging for me to time the sprint right. Andy Webb, teammate, and I are going to go down together in carpool in his trug, and looking forward to figuring out what we're going to do to try to dominate the WCA athletes that we encounter today. That's the plan. Total domination. Let's go race. All right, race fam, thanks for joining me on today's race. We are racing in Muskego Park near Milwaukee. There is a bit of a, by Milwaukee standards, a monster hill in this course. So it's more of a circuit race. It's about, I don't even know how long each lap is. I think we'll find out. I'm going to run the first lap out, and then we'll talk a little bit about some race tactics, some things going on with training and all that stuff. So this was a hard start to the course. It was very Zwift-like, so I don't know who the rider is, but you can see him up there on fourth wheel currently. But they definitely, he was pushing the pace here in the first couple minutes, which was cool. It was great, no problem. So leading up to the race, we got there on time, but I was plagued by all kinds of stupid mechanical stuff. My cog, or my rear cassette, was not installed correctly on my spare set of wheels, but actually that problem didn't manifest itself till later. My E-tap front derailleur wasn't working. Finally got that sort of fixed, at least enough to get in the big ring and race the race. My rear tire was flat. I want to be very clear about that. So when I started the race, I had some suspicions about it, and by the time I finished, I would say it was about 40 psi. So I definitely lost some efficiency with that flat tire on the back. I'm a tubeless rider, so I think I diagnosed the problem. I just have some old sealant in there that's creating some gaps, so I got to clean the tire comprehensively and clean the wheel comprehensively, and then start over again. So no big deal, but had the wrong skewer on the wheel, so I didn't get enough training time to warm up. All kinds of stuff. It was pretty cold this day. The wind was not a huge factor in our race. Later in the day, when I did the pro race after this, a couple hours after this race, I did the pro race. I survived about 20 minutes. The wind was very different for that race, so that was interesting. Another interesting thing in this course is because of the COVID restrictions, they ran the Masters 35 to 45 group 1 minute apart from us and asked us not to interact with each other. So if we did come across each other in the road, then we're supposed to neutralize. Well, whoever is getting past was supposed to neutralize and let the other group go through, which is something that does come up later in the video. So keep an eye out for that. So that reduced our field size. So one of the things I wanted to think about going into this was communicating with my coach, Zach, about how to approach the race, and he gave me a good list of process goals and a good batch of things to think about for outcome goals. So process goals was stay close to the front, and as a race like this with big wide roads and plenty of room, it's not a technical course, and this hill here that we're hitting for the first time is definitely going to string things out a bit. The goal is to stay pretty close to the front, and the reason for that will manifest itself again and again in this race. So my goal going into this from a process point of view was stay close to the front. I want to, and I didn't do that in St. Louis when I raced a month ago, and that was something that I wanted to work on a little bit, especially as Tour of America's Dairyland's coming up in 5 weeks. These are the things I want to practice as much as possible, and there's not a lot of racing, of course, before we get to Toad, but whatever we got. So I'm going to try to stay up in front in this race. That's my goal. So I don't want to do any pulling, but I do want to stay very close to the front. And I think I absolutely checked that box. So as we watch the footage, you tell me in the comments below, do you think I stayed in front? So speaking of commenting down below, it really, really helps the videos if you just throw a comment in there, like good job, you suck, whatever it is. I don't really care. Throw a comment in there and let me know what you would have done differently going into the action of this race as we get a little bit further in. There's some decisions to be made, and I'm not sure I made necessarily all the right ones. I don't think I made poor ones, but maybe there's one or two things I could have done differently. But it's always so much more comfortable to be sitting here afterwards, days later, thinking, oh, why didn't I do that? But easier said than done, right? So we're going into the second lap here, a little bit of an attack, and then part of it too is, when we all race locally, right? Well, I assume we do. So, or if you're racing for the first time and you're curious like how all this works, over time you get used to the people you're racing with. Over the couple years, you know who you're racing with. It's generally the same people who are passionate about our sport, so you get to know how they race. Like, for example, this person who's so Michael Fro attacked, and then this person up in front, I know that this person, because I race with them on this course every year, I know this person loves to pull. I don't know his name, unfortunately. He's from Neff Cycling. He loves to pull. I swear to God, he's a mountain biker. He's just got to be. So I know that I'm not going to go on a breakaway. I don't want to do any sort of breakaway because I know this person loves to pull back people who get away. He just loves it. so I'm going to let, for sure, if there's a breakaway, this was part of what Zach and I talked about too. If there's a breakaway, don't be the one to initiate it, but be the one to perhaps bridge up to it or take advantage of it. But don't be the one to initiate it. And that's something I really wanted to work on. I tend to do that a lot. Poorly, do these stupid, ill-advised solo breaks. I don't know why I do. They're really dumb, but it's just things I do. But knowing that guy's in the field makes me want to definitely not do that at a race like this. So big speed bump there in the course. So anyway, interesting. So now we're going to fast forward to the advantages of staying in front. Like, what does this do for you when you're going into your race? I'm going to speed up some of these sections because we're masters. We just need to go a little bit faster, right? So we're fanned out. So we're going pretty reasonable pace here, right? Heart rate's at 150, pretty reasonable pace. But the advantage of staying on front is this is going to allow me to respond to attacks and not have to do excessively high efforts followed by a need to get a massive recovery. So this person on the front did a lot of pulling throughout the race, really did a great race, really strong rider. I think he's pulling us back here to a couple folks that are off the front. I believe we're going to catch them. Yep. There's I don't know who the folks are off the front. And then this is, I think if I'm remembering correctly, oh no, this is, we'll catch up with that later. But that's a good example, right? Like, I was in the right spot because I was third wheel. That person, they went for a preem. There was a very early preem in the race, and those two riders that were up the road went for the preem. So after the preem, this is a good time to attack. On the hill, good time to attack. So this move by this person is a good move, and again, I know that this person loves to pull, so if he's going to go up the road, I'm certainly going to mark that, and I don't know, we'll see what happens. There's a lot of racing left, and I got to say, I'm not feeling the best with physically. I'm just not there. I think a lot of that pre-race stress was carrying itself into the race, which is unfortunate. It's, stuff I got to work on. I've totally forgot about my checklist. If you watch my video over the winter, I did another fat bike checklist video, and I totally forgot to check my checklist before this race, so it's just little extra stresses. So these are just examples of, attacks going up the road, and I'm in the right place because I'm third wheel, and I can follow these attacks. This is an example of don't panic, right? So there was a good group, or one person attacked really hard there. There was a big gap, but don't panic. Let somebody else try to close that. If they close it, great. If they don't, have some confidence in yourself that you might be able to go up the road. So Anderson, really strong rider in our group, he went on a little counterattack there, and now I believe we're all back together with this little piece of footage. Well, maybe there's somebody up the road. But again, fourth wheel, I see something happening on my left. I'm able to jump into it, and now I'm going to get shot around this course by two other folks that are going to shut down this gap. Almost 90% sure there is somebody up in front there. And I'm just going to get an armchair ride up to this group. So nowhere did I do any attacking in this race. Nowhere, which, maybe that's boring racing. I don't know, but I didn't. So I didn't do any attacking. I really just tried to do wheel surfing as best I could to be in the right place to take advantage of whatever wheels go up the road. So we got a little split there, but it certainly strung out the group, put some pain in, and then we're heading in. After that pain is inflicted, now we're going to be heading up the hill. So that was Anderson on his own again. So Anderson, really strong rider, looking great this year. Certainly somebody I'm going to be paying attention to in a race like this. Where's he going? What's he doing? I know he's willing to put in works on breakaways. For the record, I've never been in a breakaway. Fun fact, never ever been in a breakaway. And I'll let you decide what happened today, whether that was a breakaway or something different. So this PonyShop rider, again, just rolls off the front, and I'm able to stay right on that wheel. So to maybe be a little picky about that move from that rider, if he would have started a little bit deeper in the field and hit that a little bit harder on the front, I probably would have made a decision to not do that, and then he would have been able to achieve that gap solo. Not sure how I felt about that, but that's probably what would have happened. Now, this is an important moment in the race, right? So this is a donkey label rider from Minnesota. So it's a few hours of riding or driving for this person to get to this race, I assume. So, you know, if you're going to travel that far, you should plan on doing well. So I see him going up at the front, and again, we're just rolling off the front. He's pushing a really hard pace. The power is not totally matched up with the video, so forgive me for that, but pretty close. So he's pushing a hard pace, and we're going to catch this 35 group. This is the 35 plus masters group that's on the road, really small field, and again, they've been asked to not interact with us if we go by. And the timing of this worked out great. So we went by. There's my teammate leading that other race. By the way, he went on to win that. Andy Webb, congratulations. Great race, man. Awesome. Diablos! So I'm focused on my race. And again, I didn't put any effort for this, but the donkey labor rider went off the front. We rolled off the front. Now it's just him and I. We have this huge gap. The rear camera got tilted up a little bit. I apologize for that. But he puts in a huge effort, doesn't ask for any help, totally classy rider, a lot of self-confidence to be able to make a move like this and not turn around and ask for help. He's just putting in the move. Boom, Anderson comes up, bridges the gap like a freight train, and now here we are. Us three are going to work together. Now in my mind, I love having the video because I forget everything. In my mind, I thought we had a gap. I thought we did like 2 or 3 laps, just us three. Nay, we did about a half a lap. So we get to the bottom. There was some pulling in there. We all took our turn. I think when I came to the front, I tried to bring things down a little bit because I was going to explode. So on the top where it's roly-poly across the top, I tried to bring my watts down. Now, looking at it again in retrospect, if I would have kept my foot on the gas, maybe that's the thing that would have let us have a wider separation, and it really would have just been us three to the finish. Hard to say, and I could have blown up. So there's actually a really good chance I would have blown up. So I think playing the cards I was dealt with, the power I had, it worked out. So now you can see we have a larger group of people came and joined us. So now we're a group of, I think there's 8 of us, maybe 7. I'm not totally sure. I'd have to count. Maybe you can count for me. So they've bridged. There's still a huge split in the group. So the 45 plus, there's a bunch of riders that are way off the back or behind this split. And then there's us, 7 of us up here. And I'm feeling definitely taxed. So 158 for me is pretty high for a heart rate at the top of this hill. And now if somebody were to attack now after trying to recover from that hill, that would be a real problem for me. So now we're going to skip ahead a few miles. I think we went from 15 to 20. So it's the 7 of us kind of all more or less working together for a while. And then there was this group of 2 are going to go off the front. And this is where I believe your second and third place are actually going to come from here, and then someone who's still with us in our little group ends up bridging to those 2, and I think that person is the person who got the win. I'm not totally sure, but let's fast forward to this is the last lap. PonyShop rider again off the front. There's a Fairlife rider that took a flyer here right before that hill for the last lap, and he has extended a good amount of lead. He was dangling right in front of us, and I thought I wasn't too worried about that person getting a spot ahead of us, but kudos to him. He pushed hard and earned his spot. So we'll see him come back here in a second, but he still does pretty well. Okay, so we are going around to the top of the course, right? And now we're about to do the downhill. That rider again, Fairlife still off the front. This person who keeps doing lots of pulling, great race, really strong rider. He's going to try to close this gap. You know, I don't think he's racing for his own benefit at this point. I think he's just putting in a dig to see how life develops. I'm sure where you're at in this course, you're not thinking you're going to win if you're going to take this. Well, the winning is already gone. We're racing for 4th in this group. So, okay, let's see what happens. Last turn, there's a big bump in this apex of this turn, by the way. So, boom, boom. And I'm feeling like I'm in a pretty good spot. This sprint is super tricky because it's uphill, so you got to get a lot of things right? Like you got to get the right wheel, you got to get your timing right, and everything you know about sprinting is a little bit thrown out on this steep of a hill for a final sprint. It's really difficult. So you want to start here, and especially in a group sprint, you want to start here, and somebody always will start here. but it's way too far to go. So this person starts here from PonyShop, really strong ride, and not a bad move, right? Like if you know you don't have any sort of sprint, that's probably a good way to do this, to take it from a little bit further out. Maybe he should have started that before that last turn and been able to extend this effort a little bit further. And then this is like Vanderpool going by me like a freight train, like, holy cow, I got nothing. And then I stand up, I'm giving her all I got, guys, but I cannot close this gap to get 5th place. So I'm going to have to settle for 6th. Kudos to the Fairlife rider for holding on to that spot. Just, all right, got me. All right, thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, and check me out. I'm coming out with newer videos soon. More videos, I promise. Thanks. Bye.